You know that feeling when you're about to settle into a nice, relaxing evening and then the universe decides to throw a cosmic wrench in your plans? Yeah, welcome to my life. I had just popped open a cold can of synth brew, ready to binge watch the latest season of Space Misfits, when my comm device blared to life. It was our captain, Zeke Grumpy Pants Carter, and he sounded like someone had just told him the Intergalactic Tax Authority was coming for an audit. "Get your ass to the hangar now!" he barked, and the line went dead. Great. Just great. I downed the rest of my synth brew, muttering curses under my breath, and headed to the hangar. Our ship, the Starhopper, wasn't winning any beauty contests, but it was home. As I walked in, I saw the rest of the crew already assembled and looking as thrilled as I felt. "What now?" I asked, trying to keep the sarcasm in check. "We've got a distress call from the Gleeborians," Zeke said, rubbing his temples like he was nursing the mother of all headaches. "Their warp core is fried, and if we don't fix it, they're going to be space dust in a matter of hours." Fantastic. Just another day in the life of the Galactic Repair Crew. The Gleeborian ship, Eternal Glory, looked anything but glorious when we arrived. It was more like eternal dumpster fire. The hull was scorched, panels were hanging off, and there was this weird green goo oozing from various places. Zeke and I exchanged looks. This was going to be fun. "All right, team," Zeke said, clapping his hands together. "Let's get to work." We split up, each of us tackling different parts of the ship. I headed straight for the engineering bay where the warp core was supposed to be. What I found was a smoking, sparking mess. The core looked like it had been through a blender. "Well, isn't this just a peach?" I muttered. "All right, let's see what we've got here." I pulled out my trusty multi-tool and started poking around. The circuits were fried, the coolant system was leaking, and there was a strange smell that I couldn't quite place. It was like burnt toast mixed with, was that lavender? "Hey, Max!" I called out to our tech specialist. "I need a hand over here." Max, a lanky guy with a permanent case of bedhead, jogged over and peered at the mess. "Wow, they really did a number on this thing," he said. "Think we can fix it?" I grinned. Fixing the unfixable is what we do best, right? The next few hours were a blur of sparks, cursing, and a lot of "hold this" and "pass me that." Max and I worked in sync, our hands flying over the controls as we tried to piece the warp core back together. At one point, I had to crawl into a vent to reroute some wiring, and let me tell you, if you've never had the pleasure of being stuck in a cramped space with wires poking you in all the wrong places, you're not missing out. "How's it looking?" Max called from outside the vent. "Just peachy," I grunted, yanking on a stubborn wire. "Almost there." "Got it." I wriggled out of the vent, covered in grime and sweat, and gave Max a thumbs up. "Let's fire this baby up." We hit the switch, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low hum, the warp core came to life. The lights flickered, and the ship seemed to sigh with relief. "Looks like we did it," Max said, grinning. "Yeah," I said, wiping my forehead. "Let's hope it holds." Just as we were about to pat ourselves on the back and call it a day, the ship's alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed, and a robotic voice announced, "Warning, hull breach detected. Evacuate immediately." "Are you kidding me?" I groaned. "What now?" Zeke's voice crackled over the comm. "Team, get to the bridge, now!" We sprinted to the bridge, dodging falling debris and that mysterious green goo. When we arrived, we found Zeke staring at the view screen, which showed a small, sleek ship firing at us. "Who the hell is that?" I asked. "Pirates," Zeke spat. "Looks like they want to finish what the Gleeborians started." The next few minutes were a chaotic blur. We manned the ship's defenses, firing back at the pirates while trying to keep the Gleeborian ship from falling apart. I found myself at a console trying to reroute power to the shields while Max and the others handled the weapons. "Shields at 30%, I called out. "We can't take much more of this." "Keep it together," Zeke barked. "We're not going down without a fight." Just when things were looking dire, a familiar ship appeared on the view screen. It was the Galactic Guardian, the flagship of the Interstellar Patrol. "Looks like we've got backup," I said, relief flooding through me. The pirates, seeing the odds suddenly turn against them, decided discretion was the better part of valor and hightailed it out of there. The Galactic Guardian escorted us to the nearest space station for repairs, and we finally had a chance to catch our breath. Back on the Starhopper, we collapsed into the common area, exhausted, but triumphant. Zeke handed out synth brews, and we toasted to another job well done. To the Galactic Repair Crew, Zeke said, raising his can. Fixing the unfixable and kicking pirate butt. We all cheered and clinked our cans together. It wasn't the relaxing evening I'd planned, but as I looked around at my crew, I realized I wouldn't trade this life for anything. And with that, we settled in for a well-deserved break, ready for whatever the universe decided to throw at us next. To really understand the Galactic Repair Crew, you need to know a bit about us. We're not just a bunch of space mechanics. We're a ragtag group of misfits who found a calling in fixing the unfixable. Zeke Carter, our fearless leader, is a grizzled veteran with more stories than stars in the galaxy. He used to be a hotshot pilot before a crash landing on a desolate moon left him with a limp and a new appreciation for life. Max Bedhead Thompson, our tech specialist, is a genius with electronics, but can't seem to figure out how to use a comb. He's got a knack for making things work, often in ways that defy conventional engineering wisdom. Then there's Lena Sparks Rivera, our explosives expert. She's got a fiery temper to match her pyrotechnic skills, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of her wrath. And then there's me, the one who holds this motley crew together. I'm a jack of all trades, equally comfortable wielding a wrench or a blaster. My name's Jake Jinx Mitchell, and if there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I have the worst luck in the galaxy, hence the nickname. Just as we were starting to relax, Zeke's comm device beeped with an incoming message. He glanced at it and groaned. "Looks like we've got another job," he said, shaking his head. "Already?" I asked, incredulous. "We just saved a Gleeborian ship from imploding and fought off space pirates. Can't we catch a break?" Zeke smirked. "Not in this line of work, Jinx. It's an emergency call from a mining colony on the edge of the Andromeda sector. Their main drilling rig has gone haywire, and they need it fixed ASAP. Without it, they'll lose months of productivity, and the entire colony's at risk." "Of course," I sighed. "Wouldn't be a day in the life without another crisis." We arrived at the mining colony to find it in chaos. The drilling rig was a massive, hulking beast of a machine, and it was spewing smoke and debris everywhere. The colony's foreman, a grizzled old miner named Hank, greeted us with a mixture of desperation and relief. "Thank the stars you're here," he said. "We've been trying to fix this thing for days, but it's just getting worse. If we don't get it running soon, we're done for." "No pressure, right?" Max said, rolling his eyes. We got to work, assessing the damage. The rig's control systems were fried and the main drill was jammed. Lena and I headed to the control center while Max and Zeke tackled the drill. "All right, let's see what we're dealing with," I said, pulling up the system diagnostics. The screen flickered, displaying a mess of error codes and warnings. "Looks like the main CPU is toast," Lena said, grimacing. "We'll need to replace it and reprogram the entire system." "Great," I said, cracking my knuckles. "Just another day at the office." We scavenged parts from some of the colony's other equipment, cobbling together a makeshift CPU. It wasn't pretty, but it would have to do. Lena started reprogramming the system while I worked on getting the control panel back online. "How's it going with the drill?" I asked over the comm. "Slow," Zeke replied. "This thing's more jammed than a politician's inbox. We're making progress, though. Just keep at it." "Roger that," I said, focusing on the task at hand. Hours passed in a blur of code and circuits. Finally, the control panel lit up and the rig systems began to hum back to life. "We're in business," Lena said, grinning. Just as we were about to celebrate, an alarm blared. The colony's security system had detected an intruder. "What now?" I groaned. We rushed to the security hub, where the cameras showed a sleek black ship landing near the colony. A group of heavily armed figures emerged, looking like they meant business. "Looks like the pirates are back," Zeke said, his face grim. "They must have tracked us here." "Fantastic," I muttered. "Just what we needed." We quickly armed ourselves and took up defensive positions. The miners, despite their lack of formal training, were ready to defend their home. The pirates approached, weapons at the ready, and it was clear they weren't here for a friendly chat. "Hold your ground," Zeke shouted. "We can't let them take the rig." The pirates opened fire and the battle was on. Blaster bolts flew in all directions, and the air was filled with the sounds of explosions and shouting. I found myself behind a stack of crates, returning fire and trying to keep my head down. "Jinx, on your left!" Lena shouted. I turned just in time to see a pirate charging at me. I ducked and rolled, coming up with my blaster aimed squarely at his chest. One shot and he went down. "Thanks, Sparks," I called out. "Don't mention it," she replied, grinning fiercely. The battle raged on, but we were slowly gaining the upper hand. The miners fought bravely, and our crew's experience and teamwork started to show. Max managed to rig up a makeshift turret from some mining equipment, providing us with much-needed firepower. "Take that, you bastards!" he shouted, as the turret unleashed a barrage of blaster fire. The pirates, realizing they were outmatched, began to retreat. We didn't let up, chasing them back to their ship and ensuring they wouldn't be coming back anytime soon. With the pirates gone and the colony secure, we finally had a chance to catch our breath. The miners cheered and clapped us on the back, grateful for our help. "You're welcome," I said, grinning. "Just another day in the life of the Galactic Repair Crew." Hank shook our hands, his weathered face beaming with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," he said. "You've saved our colony." "All in a day's work," Zeke said, smiling. "Just try to keep that rig in one piece, all right?" We returned to the Starhopper, exhausted but satisfied. As we lifted off, I glanced out the viewport at the colony below, feeling a sense of pride. Back on the ship, we gathered in the common area, nursing our injuries and enjoying a well-deserved rest. Zeke handed out synth brews, and we toasted to another successful mission. "To the Galactic Repair Crew," Zeke said, raising his can, "fixing the unfixable and kicking pirate butt again." We all cheered and clinked our cans together, ready to finally relax. As we settled in for the night, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held for us. The galaxy was a big, dangerous place, and there was always something that needed fixing. But with this crew by my side, I knew we could handle anything. And with that, we drifted off to sleep, ready for whatever the universe decided to throw at us next.